This is the first talk I've ever given at Elnog, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm mostly excited. Because this is also an idea I've had for many years that I'm at last going to get the chance, with your help, to try and get working. So this all started, okay, first of all, I'm Adam, known as Adamatz. You can find me anywhere on the web as Adamatz. I work at a company called Nearform. Nearform bought the pizza, and Nearform bought the beer, so big round of applause for Nearform, yeah. So yeah, this idea came around many years ago when I was working on a museum exhibition, and I was reading up a lot about play and the emergence of play and the experience of it and the togetherness of people in the same room connecting. And I always thought it would be a really good idea to try and bring this together in a web environment or using the technologies that I use every day instead of developing interfaces for corporate clients. And what really triggered this was I was saying thanks to all our sponsors a couple of months ago, to Nearform and to Condé Nast for the hosting, and that's all very easy, beer and pizza and venue, and Pusher, who provide us with video every month. But Pusher are not a video production company. Pusher are a platform. And the conversation sort of rolled from there, because I said something like, oh yeah, you should all try Pusher, a bit like you did earlier. It's great for developers. Wonderful, wonderful. Kind of Trumpian sort of thing. And so the conversation progressed from there with the video guy who was on that night, which is Alex, and we decided we need to actually show what Pusher can do, and I need to actually read some of the documentation. So that's the origin story of this little lightning talk. Why is that slide there? All right. This is talking about playing together and being part, but not just being spectators, all right? And of course, we've got to start somewhere. And this game was invented or released slightly before I was born, which was a long time ago. And what I'm going to try and do tonight is show you how we can take something like a concept of Pong and take it one step further, or maybe 100 steps further. And my initial idea for this was I read an article where someone had done this in an auditorium level and created a multiplayer Pong, and the excitement that was tangible within the audience, and I'm hoping that to reignite some of that excitement here tonight. To the point which maybe we can be like Skunk and Nancy and do some really exciting things, right? It all starts with powering real-time experiences and all your apps. I mean, I like Pusher, and I've got to know the technology, but really, it's difficult to get excited about language like this, right? So you actually got to build it. Hosted APIs are flexible, scalable, and easy to integrate, right? We're going to do something about that. So I've chosen a few technologies to support this. I'm using a framework called Fastify, which is a Node.js framework, which will help with the web side of things. And I'm using Svelte. Does anyone else here use Svelte? All right, Svelte is like sort of a reactive programming for the UI, what React would be doing, but with a slightly different approach. And I'll go into some of what I've done with Svelte, but mostly I want to concentrate on the stuff that that Push is offering us as a platform. Let's see, did I get a slide for that? Oh, this is where we mix Pong and Skunk and Nancy. All right. Okay, so just want to, oh man, I'm not used to keynotes, you've got to forgive me, escape. So I just had the Pusher website up here quickly, just to have a quick look at what they actually offer. Clicking on products, they've got something called Chat Kit, they've got something called Channels, they've got something called Beams, and if you don't dive much further into it, it's not really very meaningful, as I was saying. I find the language a little bit buzzwordy, I suppose. So, but there is a good section in the Pusher website around tutorials. The documentation is pretty good. The tutorials are a good place to start because they give you some really easy ways into using Node.js with a particular product that they have, for instance, and then you can follow the tutorial. I looked at these and I thought, well, maybe I'll replay one of these tutorials, but I've decided to actually make something myself. So what are channels? Channels are really a way for us to manage WebSockets easily, or it takes a lot of the pain out of having WebSocket connections with your app. And it provides this pub/sub messaging service. It provides us a way to track users in that you can have what they call presence channels, so you know which users have logged into a channel. And there's a privacy and security layer, which I've disabled because it slows things down for what I'm trying to do. But all of this would be quite painful to do yourself, where Pusher help us out by providing this as a platform. What are the sort of interesting? Okay, we're going to come back. They also provide a lot of statistics and help us understand how our app's working, and we're going to try and get this going in real time. Fastify, I would recommend if you're looking for a web framework. Fastify is really, really good. It takes all the good parts and from things like Happy and Express and makes them better and faster. It's a great API. Svelte, I've mentioned. Now the game that I've created was created mostly in Svelte because it's mostly client side, and I'll step you through how that feeds into the Pusher API as well. And all of this is available, which I'll share with you later on my GitHub. So back to our the screen that says "Let's play." Have it hidden over here. So for starters, if you have a device and you can see that QR code, please try and log into it. I'm going to log into it in the meantime here. This is what you should see. If you don't have a device that can read a QR code, there is an IP address 178.62.50.161. How many people, just like show of hands, are managing to log in? Okay, so we've got a few players. All right, I'm behind. So you need to put in your initials to start off with, and then let's go and play. All right, I think the point of the game is pretty obvious. You've got to get the little yellow ball into one of the goals. The blue's on the right. This is great.
I've got the ball. No. Take him down. Stop it. Foul.
Okay. There's no referee. It's free for all. How many players have we got? Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm gonna switch to the stats and see what it's telling us. Oh.
What does the A and B button do?
Ah. Do you know your Konami codes?
Yes.
All right, try your Konami and see what happens.
Nothing.
It should happen. Up, up, down, down. Left, right, BA.
Oh, I didn't need these.
Oh, and everything stopped. Oh my God.
Is that what the Konami code does?
All right, so we had a peak of stats there going. We've had. Oh, you know what? We might have hit our limit. All right, so we've hit Pusher's free limit, which was 200,000. So woo. We basically you get 200,000 messages a day, and as you can see, playing a game where each move takes a message uses that up pretty quickly. I had no idea. I tested it with about five devices at home. It was the max. This is the Pusher interface. You can. There's a debug console. You can start sending messages. Oh, I can't show you one of the coolest features that I had as well. Also, this little black bar along the top here. I'll just give a quick explanation of what's happening. So, when you log in, you created a session, subscribing to a channel with Pusher, and each time you're moving, you're sending a message to Pusher, and that's getting broadcast out to the rest of the players to move you around as well. All right, so there's a lot of network activity going on, and Pusher has something they call presence channels. This is why I had to get you to log in, and this is why I needed to have Fastify, and I couldn't just do it as a client-side application because we needed to identify you. And so I've got an authentication process going on in Fastify, which is an endpoint to make sure you're a real user. That means you can log into Pusher and join that channel. There's another kind of channel which I was hoping to get to demo before we actually ran out of quota, which was which I'll just demo in the sort of in the command line here. I'm hoping it's okay. So the idea was that it would pick up any tweets that came in mentioning lnug.org and scan them. They scan across the top in that black bar in a sort of advertising style. So if you're not a player, you can be a spectator or you can be an advertiser. That's kind of the idea behind it. Are people interested in seeing code, see what it looks like? I can give you a quick overview. Yeah, there's thumbs up coming up at the top of there. So I'll quickly switch to my non-Vim code editor. Sorry, Lucas. I did try, I already tried. So just to give you a quick overview, I've got a server here, which is my Fastify service, and everything in Fastify is in here. So the main thing we're worried about doing here is registering and connecting. So this is where we do the connection and the authentication. I'll make that bigger if you like. With Pusher, this is all fairly well documented and fairly standard. I'm just creating a JWT and getting the user's name that way. Then the bulk of the complexity really lies in the client, right? So Svelte, if you're familiar with any sort of this sort of component-driven architecture on the front end, Svelte follows mainly the same rules, but also slightly differently. So we've got a main app, and this is where most of the logic is happening. And you can see my pusher key there. That's great. It's not the private one though. And this is where I'm setting up the channels and the events around binding to those channels and the responses to those. So for instance here, this is where a member has been added and we need to tell the rest of the game that a member has been added. So that gets broadcast out to Pusher on this. Oh, this is the move one, sorry. But that's to so it tells them where you are. This initializes a client. This initializes a new player. A player has been removed. If one of you had have left, you would have disappeared from the screen and everyone else's screen. And the various events that are in the game, even the ball bouncing against another player needs to be broadcast as an event. And this is where I spent most of my time was trying to get this to work across devices using SVG and scalable things. You'll notice that we all had different size devices. But the idea was that we could scale this to any proportion and still have the integrity of the position of the players and the ball. Yeah, so unfortunately we didn't get to, I don't know, did anyone score a goal? No. All right. So next time I'll pay for the, I'll pay Pusher for the, or maybe we can get them to sponsor something and we can do a full talk. But yeah, that's about it. That's my lightning talk. If you're interested to look at the source code, it's available there. GitHub.com, Adamatz, 100 players. Thanks to Pusher for providing video and providing a great platform for a bit of fun. And actually, that did fulfill a bit of my dream there of having a lot of people playing the same game at the same time and getting a little bit excited. So thank you.
Are there any questions for Adam?
Yeah.
What does an army code do?
It went up, down, down, left, right, BA, and it just turns your name into an emoji. It didn't give you superpowers. Yeah, I mean, I could have done more with it. I added it this afternoon because I just thought, well, why not? Yeah, so that's why I kept the A and B in there because I just thought, I was hoping someone would just try it anyway, just out of nature. Any other questions?
How frequently do you push messages then? Like, is there for every single frame the game is rendered, it's published to Pusher, or is it every?
No, for every single action in the game. So what I've got is I'm recalculating the position of all game, the state of the game every action, right. And then but every player has a local state stored. So if a player moves, I transmit that movement. Or if the ball hits a player and moves somewhere else, I transmit that movement, which all other players get. So the movement of the ball turns out to be a bit janky as a result. The players seem to move okay. So I'm running it using the animation frame, DOM animation frame thing, that's 60 frames a second. That would be too many to run to send every, and so I was trying to minimize it and probably could optimize how many messages I'm sending. But I didn't expect to run out of 200,000 so quickly.
And is there like an internal game state on your server, or is it just an agreement amongst the clients?
No, there's no internal game state on the server, and that was one of my goals, was not to have to. I did look at that as an architecture, just to be able to, you know, when say a new player joins, to be able to, you know, update them with the positions of all the other players or the current score or whatever it is. But I wanted to avoid that, and what I've got a concept of a game host. So the first player is the host. So that's the player that transmits to all new players. Well, transmits to pusher, and then pusher pushes out. And if that player drops out, then the next action will pick up a new game host and pick up the state from that. So there is a kind of, but it's not centrally controlled. I mean, and it would be interesting to do this with sort of, IPFS or something like that, where you have 100% sort of distribution and no centrality, and see how that works. I mean, that would be maybe my next experiment.
We look forward to your next talk.
Cool. Anybody else want to ask any questions? Yeah.
Is there a quality of service for the it's like a queuing system, isn't it? So like you need a quality of service to assure that your packets are reaching the either server. So for example, sometimes you might want to know if a packet actually reaches from a server's perspective. Does it support kind of like checking that the service has registered that message?
I'm not doing any checking. I mean, I'm trusting that any message I sent is being received by everyone else in this iteration, in this version. I mean, it's like a game of Pong, you know. But
support, like assurance.
not. I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of statistics and stuff around that. Possibly you could see where things are failing, but I'm not. I mean, there's an error log. If we look at the go back to their UI here. They have a bunch of sort of error logs here. Yeah, quota exceeded. So we knew that happened. It happened 4 times. I don't know how you can exceed your quota 4 times. But yeah, so there may be tooling associated with what Pusher can offer. I don't know. I was just really trying to get as much as I could out of it for free.
What's your next game going to be?
Oh, I don't know. This one's been like 15 years in the making. So.
LNUP 2035.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you.